When I came to Penn State, I wanted to begin a program that I had done previously out west called Bridges to Life. And I contacted Academic Affairs and told them what I wanted to do. And they indicated there was a grant through Schreier's Institute that allowed faculty to use funds to help supplement the classroom experience for students. So I put in for this grant, and we were able to secure funds to begin the program called Bridges to Life. This program originated out of Texas. A man by the name of John Sage, whose sister was murdered, was not sure how he was going to deal with his sister being killed, and so he began going into prisons, volunteering, doing some work, because he thought, if I can't deal with this other ways, I'm going to go in and I'm going to get to know inmates and maybe I can help them change their lives. So he started this program called Bridges to Life, and basically the program is we bring crime victims into the prison as well as volunteers, and the volunteers facilitate these groups inside the prisons with inmates and victim survivors. And the victims are able to tell their stories to the offenders, and subsequently the offenders are able to tell their stories to the victims. And it's pretty amazing the results that we've seen through this interaction of victims and offenders. It's a 14-week faith-based program that is curriculum-based, and they talk about such topics as accountability, responsibility, and they go through this program and they get to graduate from the program. And the program has been going in Texas for about 17 years.
I really enjoy the Bridges experience. It gives me a different viewpoint on the things that I do. The survivors live through a lot worse crimes than I've committed, but it's given me the view of my family and what I put them through coming in these institutions continuously. It's really an eye-opening experience. I really enjoy coming here. I think it's amazing that they try and they want to get to know us, and their hearts really want to get to know us and know what we go through on the other side of the spectrum. So I think that's amazing.
So we're really excited about bringing this program and having Penn State be able to help us in setting this program up and helping with students volunteering. We actually have gotten approval to use students and they'll be able to get credit for it. So it's a great opportunity for them to gain experience while they're getting their degree. The program is a 14-week program. It has a lesson each week. It's curriculum based, and they will go through topics such as accountability, responsibility, having faith in something, similar to the concepts they learn through AA and NA meetings, but it's 14 weeks. One of the powerful pieces about this program is the ability for these inmates. A lot of times the inmates will ask us, what will we get out of this program? And a lot of the inmates, of course, it's based upon their own personal choices and their own convictions, whether or not they want to change their lives or not. But by listening and hearing from other victims or from victims of crime, it kind of helps them, it actually helps them to understand how their behavior has impacted others.
Because it just made me think about why I've done the things that I've done and how it made me think about the people I've hurt more. And I told my mom about it too, and she was really excited about it. And I don't know, it just makes you take a deeper look at yourself and who you are and who you want to be.
What I've gotten out of this program is how I affect other people with my actions. It really makes me look more inside myself and realize why I'm doing the things I do, how it affects everybody around me, and it's just a great insight into why we do what we do and why other people, get hurt by our actions. Tell everybody all the time that it's a great program. I let other people on the pod read the book. It's good. It's a good thing because it helps them to realize the wrongs that they do and realize how it affects other people. It's just something really great to acknowledge how you act and how it affects this community and society. It's a great program.
It doesn't matter what the crime is, it doesn't matter the behavior. For example, a drug offender might be able to recognize that his drug problem is affecting not only society but also affecting his family. One of the powerful pieces about this program is that victims are involved with the offender. At the beginning, some victims are a little bit hesitant about coming in because, one, they were affected by offenders in their own lives and they're not sure what the benefit is for them to do it. But once they come in and they participate in the program and tell their story, they recognize that was a piece that was missing out of their story, was being able to tell the offender of how crime affected their life. Now, it's not their offender, it's just offenders in general, but just that ability to tell their story has a powerful impact on their ability to move forward. Many of them have said that after telling their story, they're able to move forward in their lives and be able to find that new chapter of their life. A lot of victim survivors don't like the term closure, and I don't think anything that we can ever do would necessarily bring closure, but it helps them to move forward and begin to create a new normal in their life.
Makes me think of the victims more. I never really thought about the victims until I came here and came to this program. And once, we're halfway through it, and now I'm starting to see and have a perspective about, what I've done to other people and how they felt.
One of the reasons that I wanted to start this program was that after being in this career for almost 30 years, I really had a concern for the fact that a lot of the criminal offenders do not necessarily take responsibility when they're punished. They will go in, they'll do their time and get out, but they really don't understand that term accountability and responsibility. So by being involved in this program, it brings it to another level of understanding of how their behavior has affected not only society but their victims in the crime that they committed. And by allowing those offenders to see that view of their crime, it oftentimes helps them to start making better personal choices, being more accountable for their behavior, and being able to take that responsibility to a new level and be able to start patterning their lives after being a productive member of society. So seeing it through the victim's eyes is very powerful. One of the victim survivors that was involved in this program, oftentimes people will ask, how does it, has there been any success stories or things that you've seen? And she was victimized by her father and her uncle, and she was also affected in a gang rape when she was a young girl by several kids in her high school. And as she got older, she became more secluded. She stayed in her house all the time. She didn't want to leave her house. And her friend said to her, you know what, there's this program, it's called Bridges to Life, and it gives you an opportunity as a victim survivor to tell your story to inmates. And her first reaction was, I am not going into a prison and tell my story to inmates. But her friend continued to encourage her to do this, so she did go into a prison, and she stood in front of about 100 inmates, and as she told her story, the first thing she said to him is, if I had a gun, I'd kill every one of you. And they all went to their feet, stand up, gave her a standing ovation, and they were about 7 or 8 weeks into the program, so they were starting to get the importance of the program and how it affects their lives, but also the victim survivors. And it affected her so much that she has now continued to volunteer and it's been about 7 years, and she continues to volunteer. And she told me that that night, after she had told her story that first time, it was the first night in many years that she had slept through the night. So it has really impacted her life in that she continues to meet with inmates and try to help them in changing their lives. And this was a woman that was afraid of her shadow. So that's very impactful.
I'm not hurting nobody but me, you know, but no matter what I do, whether it be stealing from the store or whatever else, there's always a victim. Because me stealing from the store, you guys are victims because taxes go up, prices go up. And I never thought of it like that. I think all of you guys are awesome. I just feel I feel real comfortable talking. I look forward to Monday. Every week I look forward. Oh, well, Saturday, Monday's gonna be here, you know. And I like doing homework. Although sometimes I get a little confused and stuff, and I have my roommate help me a little bit last night, but I really like it, and I like reading the small book that we have. I like reading the chapters. It offers a lot of insight.
A lot of people wonder, well, what's the impact of the offender? Have you seen anything personally? And there was an inmate recently who went through the program. He was in for homicide, and he had spent many years in prison, and he had heard about Bridges to Life, and so he went through the program. He actually went through the program 3 different times, and on the 3rd time when he went through, he petitioned the board of pardons to possibly look at a release. And the parole board, after hearing what he had been involved in with the Bridges to Life program and the changes that he had made in his life, the board granted his release, and he is now on the street, but he's also a facilitator in the Bridges to Life program. So a completely 180-degree turn in his life. And he goes around the country and speaks about how important this program is to help inmates understand accountability.
We're always looking for new programs, and one of the things that we have been talking about recently in the criminal justice system is things that we have done for years aren't working. We're not getting results out of these things, and we've got to start thinking outside the box and trying new programs. And the timing for LeVar approaching us to do this program, I had the opportunity to go and listen to the speaker last summer when the gentleman came in that really is the driving force behind this program, which was a very moving experience for everybody that was there. To me, was the commitment was there from LeVar and from the Penn State folks that this would be a successful program, and we wanted to make sure we got it done, and we were able to do that. I will tell you from early on, and listening to LeVar and getting a chance to hear the gentleman that was really the driving force behind this program speak last summer reminded me of a couple of individuals that I've had interactions with in my career. One gentleman in particular who had tried to commit suicide. He had come back from a state mental institution and asked to speak to me, and shared with me that it had taken him to get to the point where he was actually at the lowest in his life to actually start to make change in himself. And it took that kind of realization for him to understand that it wasn't everybody else's fault, that he was the only person that was at fault, and he was the only one that could change it. And I think that watching him take that ownership was something that this program really kind of highlights, and that they're talking about what are the things that have made you the way you are, what are the things that are influencing how you're making decisions, and where maybe some anger and some things are placed in things, and actually helps you to kind of mold that into, this is what I need to do to take responsibility for myself and change it. And I think that's really the only way that it has a positive effect on recidivism and keeping inmates coming back to the jail is that they have to actually start to take that ownership and responsibility for themselves. And yes, there are people that may have hurt them along the way, but they have to start to change that and channel that energy into taking care of themselves and not worrying about those things and getting beyond them. And I think that's what really makes this program worthwhile.
I found definitely within the 32 years I've been doing this kind of stuff that's not how we change behavior. And I said this at the very beginning to you guys, these guys, nobody can change your behavior, you change it. Just like we have to change our behavior. And no one can do that for us. We have to do that ourselves.
Honestly, I just enjoy helping someone else get back on the right track. Like, it's just amazing. I can't describe the feeling. Whenever I was in Indiana, literally, I was in tears just hearing these guys' stories. I mean, it just hits you, like, right here, right at home.